Good morning, Namaskar. Welcome to the daily news analysis for 13th of March 2025 here on PW Only IS English channel with me, Jatin Verma. Today we are going to talk about online skill-based gaming versus the gaming of chance. What is the GST rate charged on the online gaming? What is the subject mentioned in the state list that regulates the online gaming sector? How the government is trampling upon a sunrise industry? What is the way out? We are going to discuss the problems in a manner that you will get to know about the prelims oriented knowledge from this article as well as the mains oriented analysis. Then Mauritius, India. Prime Minister Modi visited Mauritius. We all know about it. What were the items on the joint statement released by both the countries? We are going to see this as well. Now, moving further, these are the other news articles that we are going to discuss. Parliamentary panel asks the centre to spend more on agriculture, rename agriculture ministry to reflect the needs, to reflect the plight of the farming sector labour. Then design stage of small modular nuclear reactors completed. What is the nuclear modular reactor? What is the technology behind it? Pressurized heavy water reactor. We want to sell it to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and other neighboring countries. Perhaps not to talk of Bangladesh as of now. Centre asks Gujarat court to serve US summons on Adani. If not in India, then in the US, culprits would at least be brought to the law book. Let's hope. Russia lays out demands for talks with the US on Ukraine. What are the demands of Russia? Now, Russia is becoming more aggressive insofar as demands are concerned. Seeing that the Donald Trump, the US president, is hell bent on signing a deal, that is why Russia is becoming more aggressive and more adamant when it comes to the deals, when it comes to making the European side and the US side agree to its demands. France, Germany, Italy and UK on the other hand are working on the Arab plan for Gaza reconstruction. But who will give the money? That's the moot question. Let's get started with the news analysis. As the festival of colors, Holi is round the corner, so we are offering up to 80% discount on all our courses on PW Live. You can check out the course that suits you. Hindi medium, English medium, Hindi and English mix, then purely English medium, Titan 4.0 2026, in which I am teaching polity and governance and other dynamic subjects will also be taken up. So you can consider joining these courses as per your requirement. Now, moving further, in Mauritius, Modi calls for free, secure Indian Ocean. And India also pledged to train at least 500 civil servants of Mauritius. So this is a big commitment that India is coming out with. Yesterday I told you the contours, how the partnership between India and Mauritius has panned out over the years ever since Mauritius gained independence in the year 1968. In 1974 we signed the Defence Cooperation Agreement. 1983 we helped them prevent a military coup that civilian democratically elected government of Mauritius was facing. So India has been the port of first call, the first responder in every crisis of Mauritius. You talk about the cyclones, you talk about the Agalega Island, and most importantly, if we talk about the Chagos Archipelago issue between UK and Mauritius. In 1965, an important island of this Chagos Archipelago was, that is 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐼, was separated from Mauritius and it became a part of British Indian Ocean Territory, BIOT, to have their control, to have their presence in the Indian Ocean Territory, the erstwhile colonized area of the British Empire. Okay, so they wanted some presence. So Chagos Archipelago, especially the 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐼, where only 300 people live, is still in the possession of UK. UK in 1966 had leased it out to the US to construct a military base, and US has a military base in the Indian Ocean Territory in the 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐼 lent to US by UK. That is a good thing for Indian Ocean security. Insofar as freedom of navigation is concerned, we want to ensure lesser Chinese presence or more US presence to ensure freedom of navigation or to counter the Chinese phenomena. But the problem is India had signed a defense agreement with Mauritius, as I told you yesterday also, way back in 1974. As per that agreement, India is required to protect Mauritius against such actions. Have we been able to stand by our good neighbor, good friend? The answer is yes. If not militarily, then at least diplomatically. We have been exerting pressure on the UK and we have always voted in favor of Mauritius insofar as 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐼 dispute is concerned. Okay, now the homework for you is to check out this area, 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐼, or overall Chagos archipelago, where only 300 people are living, and this has been a geopolitical flashpoint that will impact the global power dynamics in the regional security. Now, 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻𝐿 Garcia, as I told you yesterday also, a dispute was filed in the International Court of Justice. In 2019, International Court of Justice gave a decision in favor of Mauritius that Mauritius should be handed back the control of 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻𝐿 Garcia Island. But in vain, because these are powerful countries, US, UK, so they run roughshod, they even violate the global norms, the established norms of United Nations and its working. So let's proceed. What were the other items on the agenda? India-Mauritius partnership. So the first one, enhanced strategic partnership. Even though these two countries, India and Mauritius, are strategic partners since long back, now the word enhanced has been used just to add some fillip, just to add some vibrancy to the relationship. Second, financial commitment, around rupees 100 crore worth of projects. Yesterday we discussed about 𝐂𝐺𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐺 Island and the airstrip that has been constructed by India, and the jetty services, the revamping of the jetty service between 𝐂𝐺𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐺, a remote island located 1100 kilometers away, 1000 kilometers approximately away from the mainland of Mauritius. Since it is an island country, 𝐂𝐺𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐺 Island was inhabiting a population of less than 1000. But these people, since they were not connected to the mainland, they were vulnerable. So India announced a lot of financial commitment earlier also. Total 1.1 billion, $1.2 billion we have invested so far. So that amounts to around 10 to 11,000 crore rupees. Now, infrastructure development, India will construct the new parliament building in Mauritius. Same is what we have done with Maldives as well. We have done the same thing in Afghanistan as well. This is the effort that India invests in its neighborhood so as to keep at bay the phenomena of push factor. These people, if they would be in distress, they would migrate into India, causing further problems for India. Now, the Mauritius stands out as a case in itself because of its important geostrategic location and the Chinese threat. So, we want to counter that in the best manner possible by strengthening people to people ties. Trade facilitation, both countries agreed to settle mutual trade in their local currencies. So here is the hint of de-dollarization. We can talk about it briefly. Mauritius being a small country, but a lot of FDI comes from Mauritius into India, thanks to the double taxation avoidance agreement we have with Mauritius and the mutual exchange of information that happens between both the countries to exchange information about the to and fro movement of money, so as to keep a check on money laundering, etc., the illicit activities. Capacity building, 500 Mauritian civil servants will receive training in India over the next 5 years. So that will further enhance the diaspora to diaspora connection. Since I told you yesterday that so many Indian people of Indian origin, they were migrated, they were transported to, like animals, they were transported to the island of Mauritius from Britain for sugar plantation, from British occupied territory India for sugar plantation. Okay, so that connection of around 2 million people migrated from India, mainland India, to Mauritius, that connection is the one that binds to this day. Then Gandhiji's visits, etc., we had talked about. Global South Vision. Prime Minister Modi outlined the vision for Global South known as Mahasagar, mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth across regions. So Mahasagar, the abbreviated form you need to memorize. The expanded form also you need to memorize. Now moving further, support on the Chagos dispute. India pledges support to Mauritius, the position of the Mauritius through Colombo Security Conclave. So we keep on reiterating India's commitment across these forums, across all these forums, including the United Nations, including the International Court of Justice. Our Justice Dalveer Bhandari, when he was there in 2019, he was the one who voted in the ICJ, who basically was in favor of Mauritius, the important islands of Mauritius, Chagos, be handed over to Mauritius, handed back to Mauritius by the UK. Now, you know US is US. Chagos Island Agreement, a deal was reached between UK and Mauritius in 2024. India has been told to have played a very vibrant role ever since 2019 judgment of ICJ to uphold the rule of law in the freedom of navigation or in the United Nations Convention on Law of Seas. So India, through back channel diplomacy, it has been told that UK was under immense pressure from Indian side to relinquish its control over the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands. However, UK will retain a 99-year lease on the military airbase located in 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐿 Garcia. So it is still in the possession of US through UK. UK is the occupant here, which has leased it out to the US. So this is important also considering the transient times, the challenging times the world is facing with the rise of China. Now, these are the Indian Ocean territories of India. Wherever India is present, you talk about Oman, you talk about UAE, you talk about Iran, Chabahar Port, you talk about Seychelles Island. Okay, so this year, guys, have a look at this area: Madagascar, Seychelles, Aleutian Islands, Assumption Islands, very, very closely. These areas become important. Where are the Assumption Islands located? Where are the Aleutian Islands located? Right, talk about this, answer this question in the comment section. Moving further, this is the practice question for this particular topic. Which of the following statements regarding the Chagos archipelago is or are correct? It is a group of islands located in the Indian Ocean. It is disputed territory between Mauritius and United Kingdoms. 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐿 Garcia, the largest island, hosts a significant military base. Now coming to the other important issue, this is the issue which we are going to analyze today. Economic survey says that government should, amplify the deregulation agenda, ease of doing business. While on the other hand, if we look at the practical reality, especially insofar as online gaming is concerned, things are not as rosy as economic survey wants them to be. Then this needs to be examined in the context of regulation of online gaming. Online gaming, it seems, has been butchered, has been trampled upon. A key emerging sector has been so regulated that it is breaking its backbone. 1.12 lakh crore rupees worth of GST demand on a retrospective basis. Then, no distinction between skill based gaming and chance based gaming. So, skill based gaming is where it is different from gambling. When it comes to chance based gaming, chances like rolling a dice. Okay, so these games are more near to the definition of gambling. In India, this area is regulated by Public Gambling Act of 1967. Okay, so Public Gambling Act of 1867. It is the subject of state list under 7th schedule of Constitution. So Public Gaming Act defines the gaming as gaming of chance. And even though governments across the states, you can say Goa, Telangana, etc., they have outrightly banned online gaming. But many high courts across the Indian states, they have held the some of the gaming platforms which are based on the skill based gaming, they have held it to be different from gambling. Because of the chances of people getting addicted to it, some states are coming up with the knee jerk reaction to outrightly ban this gambling or gaming in their state's territory. Now 33,000 crore rupees has been the revenue in just 1 year 2023 as per a report by an international auditor, PwC, 𝐃𝐿. So this is the sunrise sector. What do we mean by sunrise sector? Where the scope of generation of employment revenue is very high. Okay, the sector is witnessing a compounded annual growth rate of around 14.5%. This is the sector that can generate a lot of revenue, lot of employment opportunities, but government needs to have a concerted approach when it comes to regulating it. So here's the practice question. Why I want you to have a look at the practice question? Because this will help you understand the contours, absorb the contours of the topic better. India's online gaming sector is witnessing rapid growth but also faces challenges. Discuss the key aspects of this sector, including its growth drivers, potential benefits, and the challenges it faces. Potential benefits: employment is there, tax revenue is going to be there, right? Then, India's emergence as a startup sector, as a startup capital, when it comes to invention of these online games and their servers and their application codes. Okay, so regulatory framework needs to be concerted. Challenge is the regulatory framework is divided. It's like piecemeal approach, knee jerk reactions at its best. So we can't look at it the way we look at it, the way we look at the microfinancial institutions, and they trapping the gullible people into the trap of usurious or high interest rates. So this is the problem that we see in the microfinancial institutions. In the similar manner, to draw an analogy, online gaming, just because it has got a high chance of people getting addicted to it, it is being looked upon as a kind of evil, not even necessary evil. Let's look at the other question. With reference to the online gaming, consider the following statements. Gambling is the subject of the state list under 7th schedule of the Constitution. Online gaming is regulated by Ministry of Electronics and Information and Technology, but different states have their own laws related to permission within the state. Afterwards, try to answer this question on the basis of the discussion that follows. Now, coming here, online gaming, skill based gaming is a sunrise sector. We all know this. Compounded annual growth rate of around 15%, 33,000 crore rupees revenue in 2023. And the three online gaming startups have achieved a unicorn status. What is a unicorn status? Achieving the valuation of $1 billion. Starting with that, okay. But this is not the criteria, since Byju's has also been able to achieve this. But what happened? Okay, nonetheless, it is attracting a lot of FDI also. But the moot question also is whether the hard-earned money of the gullible people, gullible youth, whether the hard-earned money, the precious time of the demographic dividend would go wasted when invested in this kind of an activity. Okay, we are talking about the revenue potential, but this is similar to drug addiction, I believe. One aspect of looking at it is this also, which is what the state governments are, the democratically elected governments are concerned with. Regulatory issues are 1.12 lakh crore rupees, 1,12,000 crore rupees retrospective GST demand by the union government has created uncertainty, making India a kind of less attractive for these type of startups. Even though a 2025 Supreme Court stay order on this demand highlights the need for deregulation. Supreme Court has granted a temporary stay even as the final judgment is awaited. Government regulations are seen as hampering the growth of this sector. Now, what is the need? We are calling for deregulation here. The economic survey says that there is a strong need to survey the regulatory landscape and identify the areas for deregulation. Deregulation this way can unlock the sector's full potential and promote innovation, generate employment avenues for the budding youth also, and keep them occupied. On a lighter note. Now, negative sides are also there. The high tax rate and the regulatory uncertainty are stifling the sector's growth. Then smaller startups are at risk of bankruptcy or closure because they invested heavily. Looking at the growth of the three unicorns, the leading players in the industry, it could lead to increased growth of illegal offshore gambling, especially when cryptocurrency is being used for betting, etc. Okay, these are the other challenges under the rubric of online gaming. A lot of cryptocurrency usage is also found on the dark net, on the dark web. Now, wastes government and industry resources on legal battles, which could be productively invested in the creation of new app code or further development of the applications already launched. Now, industry responsibility. The online gaming industry needs to address the concerns about problematic online practices, the usage of crypto, for example, making it challenging for the government to regulate it. Now, coming here, call for the government action. The union government should rationalize the GST rates. A collaborative regulatory framework with the industry is needed. Retrospective GST demand should be dropped. You should have given the clarity to the sector. Government seems to have become greedy, that whenever a sector sees a kind of sunrise or hockey stick kind of a growth, okay, the government becomes greedy and starts sending the GST notices. This has happened with various sectors. Not only this government, you talk about previous governments also, telecom sector, you talk about this sector, any sector you name which is seeing an exponential growth, angel tax, etc., is levied on the startups. This is not a good practice, the economic survey says. Now, moving further, how the industry is rendering itself accountable. What the industry, the online gaming industry is doing, this is the related news article. The All India Gaming Federation, the E-Gaming Federation, and the Federation of Indian Fantasy Sports. So, fantasy sports, what have they done? They Dream 11, Poker Bazi, which run these games in which users can risk money for reward. They have come up with their own ethics code. What are the contours? What are the elements? Now, elements are like players can opt out. Self exclusion option is the most important option that needs to be there, that if a user does not want to bet money, he can opt out. Okay, mandatory annual compliance audits are required. Platforms must implement robust know your customer verification procedures, KYC procedures, so that the usage of the cryptocurrency, as I just cited in the previous article, that could be regulated. Okay, cryptocurrency and where the money is coming from. Like recently Paytm was in news for allowing the money laundering, or allowing 1 crore 2 crore rupees worth of transfer in a single day, even as the RBI permits 1 lakh rupees. So to exchange hands, even these gaming platforms could be used to launder money. How the money is uploaded, how the money is loaded into the wallet provided by these platforms, and into which wallet is it going, there needs to be a proper mechanism to regulate that. That is why KYC verification. Then code gated. Code gating means that if somebody is a minor, what is the guarantee that that minor would not be able to upload the money, upload the credit card based recharge, and then use the parents credit card for playing online games. Later on, parents getting to know that the entire credit card limit has been exhausted. These are the cases. That is why the code gating, OTP based gating, on which the OTP would be sent on the other number or the guardian's number, some mechanism needs to be devised for this. And then if the grievances are there, that there is some cheat or some rigging in the code has happened, that means code has been so manipulated that the masses would lose, and the classes, the owners, or the owners relatives would get to, the owners of these applications, their relatives would get to earn the money, as happens in the regular bar phenomena where we play the games like poker or cards are played. So the code is rigged in such a manner that masses, the general users, would always end up losing the game, and the people who are the owners or stakeholders in the application, they would be the winners always. Okay, so grievance redressal mechanism to address the issues like money being deducted and not being refunded and not reflecting in the wallet, these type of issues need to be addressed. The code actually aims to protect the minors from accessing games. So that is why the code gating is required. OTP based gating or age verification via parents ID card or Aadhaar card is required, but this cannot be made mandatory, as Aadhaar card cannot be allowed to be used for private services. This is what we have been studying, we had studied in the previous news analysis also. Okay, now what is fantasy based gaming? These are the games in which players select their team and team players, and on the basis of their performance in the real life. For example, if the IPL is going on, how a particular player plays out in the IPL will reflect in the online arena. Okay, so fantasy sports are the games in which players select a team of real sports players from several teams and earns the points based on how well the players perform in the real life. Okay, so this is fantasy based. Then online casual games. Casual games are the games driven by chance. This is what the High Courts and the Supreme Court has said, that games which are purely a matter of chance cannot be allowed to bet money. Okay, people using these games or playing these games shall not be allowed to bet money, because this is a matter of chance. Then esports. These are video games that were played privately or in consoles in the video game stores in 1990s, but they are currently being played online in a structured manner between the professional player, either individually or in teams. So these are the three types, fantasy sports being one of them. Then online games of chance, casual games. Okay, so there are two types of these online games. One is skill based. Skill based are allowed to bet money. Okay, in which people are allowed to bet money as per the Indian High Court's ruling. Then chance based games are not allowed to let people bet their hard earned money, because these are a matter of chance and the scope of rigging in the application is quite high. Okay, so this is how the Indian judiciary has uh, distinguished between the two forms of online casual games. Then third one is, as I said, the video esports, video games that were played earlier privately, that Mario was there, etc. Now they have taken the new online avatar in which people can play either singly or with a group of their knowns or unknowns also. So this is here, the scope, everything is there. question. You can attempt the mains question that has been given. You can post your answer on the Telegram group that I have. I will definitely sneak out some time coming this weekend or the Holi festival that is coming. I'll try to evaluate at least 10 answers, the first 10 answers that are posted on the Telegram group connected to the Telegram channel Jatin Verma Sir, PW Only IAS, the link of which is given in the description box of this video. Now, coming to the issue of agriculture, Parliamentary Standing Committee has recommended a slew of measures for the welfare of the farmers. Crop insurance scheme number 1, renaming the ministry. If you see your UPSC syllabus, there is a topic naming and renaming of ministries, there the mandate of the ministries. So it says that the Parliamentary Standing Committee says that the name of the Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare should be so rechristened so as to reflect the farm laborers also. Now the new name, it says, should be Department of Agriculture, Farmers and Farm Laborers Welfare. So first thing is that it says that a comprehensive crop insurance plan for small holding farmers is also required. Even though Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, these schemes are successfully running, but we need a dedicated plan for small holding farmers. Now the problem with PM Kisan and other such schemes is that they recognize only the actual owners of the land. That is why the committee, in my opinion, rightfully suggests that small holding farmers are left uncatered. That is why the change of the name will reflect the change in the functioning of the ministry as well, in the functioning of the Department of Agriculture as well. Small farmers are a neglected lot. Even though from 1951 onwards, ever since the land reforms were started, the land reforms, the redistribution of the land as it was vested in a few big zamindars has not been, I would say, perfect. That is why even the actual tillers of land are still not well catered by the government schemes. Talk about PM Kisan, talk about PM Fasal Bima Yojana. That is why, guys, the committee says that recognize the farm laborers, often from the marginalized communities like SCs, STs. They are they require this government support, but they are overlooked part of the agriculture workforce. There is a topic in our UPSC GS mains paper 2, the ministries and departments. It is broadly worded as ministries and departments, but under this, the change in the name of ministries, how does it change the functioning of the ministry? Okay, we talk about Ministry of Environment and Forest. It has been rechristened as Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change to add the impetus to the phenomena of climate change. Okay, to retard the phenomena of climate change. Likewise, it suggests that establishing a national commission for minimum living wages for farm laborers. Even though we talk about minimum wages act, even though we talk about consumer price index, rural laborers, but these are for gauging or assessing inflation. There is no dedicated commission for the farm laborers. As I said, the agricultural reforms, the land reforms that were effected to by 1951st First Constitutional Amendment Act, okay, Fourth Constitutional Amendment Act, then various judgments of the Supreme Court, Shankari Prasad, etc. Okay, but actually on the ground, there are still Rajas and Maharajas. You talk of Sindhiyas, a lot of land, huge expanses of land are still in their possession. And that brings us to the cause of the actual tillers of the land, the farm laborers. So that is why the ministry has given the pro laborers, farm laborers suggestions to the Ministry of Agriculture, to the government. Even as they are discussing, the Parliamentary Standing Committee is discussing the budget. The fund monitoring requested the ministry to implement the processes and mechanisms to monitor the usage of funds regularly so that there are no scams like one occurred in Punjab during his own tenure, the Mr. Channi's tenure, whereby hybrid variety of seeds, okay, HYV seeds were diverted. The funds meant for HYV seeds were disbursed to ghost farmers, aimed to address the issues that could hinder the full spending of allocated amounts. So there is a new pattern we have observed in the budget in the last few years, that funds are allocated but not spent because of late release of funds, because of the bureaucratic formalities that are required, and then the feud between the opposition ruled states and the central government ruled states, the same political party ruled states. Then he talks about, the Parliamentary Standing Committee talks about minimum support price, recommended MSP for all organic crops. Now I ask you a question. Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, it comes under which ministry? This is my first question with regard to this topic. Then how many crops as of now are covered under this MSP phenomena? Is MSP a statutory guarantee as of now, or is it just a regulated kind of through the regulations of CACP MSP is given? Is it statutorily guaranteed as of now or not? These are the questions. Now, the demand for minimum support price or organic produce should not undermine the broader MSP demand based on Swaminathan formula. So, I will take you through the Swaminathan formula. Here is the formula. Swaminathan Commission, MS Swaminathan sir's formula is MSP should be equal to C2, the comprehensive cost of production, plus 50%. So, 1.5 times the cost of production, it says. Now we'll go through the C2. What do we mean by C2 here? C2 is the actual cost of production, which includes the rent. Okay, if I am a tenant farmer, the land 40,000 rupees per hectare if I am paying in Punjab, so that 40,000 should also be included. Or imputed rent. If I am the owner, I might have leased out my land to somebody else rather than taking the risk of the vagaries of weather. Okay, taking the risk that my efforts would be subjected to the monsoon vagaries, whether monsoon would come or not. Rather than playing that gamble around monsoon, why should I not lend my land on lease to another farmer? So that is why the interest foregone on the land and the machinery owned by farmers, everything should be included. MS Swaminathan sir had said so as to retard the phenomena of people leaving agriculture and converting or selling their land, on which shopping malls, etc. would come up. Okay, so that is why, to ensure India's food security for long run till 2060 2070, MS Swaminathan committee said that we need to make the farmers the farming remunerative, and in order for us to do that, C2 is the actual cost of production, including accounting for the rent and the interest foregone on land. Because if land is worth 2 crore rupees per hectare or per 1000 square yards, why not sell it and channelize money towards a restaurant or any other business? This is what is happening in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, across the agricultural green belt of India. Now, green revolution based area. C2 includes the actual paid out cost, family labor. If a laborer family, 4 people of the family are working in the agriculture, their imputed labor cost should also be included into it. Imputed rent on own land, etc. So C2, many questions have been asked on C2 when the farmers' protests were going on, and now that the Parliamentary Standing Committee has come up, you should be thorough with these evergreen things. These are evergreen topics of UPSC. Prelims corner, let's have a look at this question, related question. In case of all cereals, pulses and oil seeds, the procurement at MSP is unlimited in any state. Is it limited even though FCI comes up with a quota? But is it limited, or can the government revise it? What is the objective? What is the statutory obligation of the government here? Now, in case of cereals and pulses, the MSP is fixed in any state and UT at a level to which the market price will never rise. At a level, is it the case? So this is the prelims question. Now moving to the next topic, design stage of small modular nuclear reactor completed. This is what the minister has informed. Union Minister Mr. Jitendra Singh has informed Lok Sabha yesterday. So it will take around another 60 to 72 months, 5 to 6 years for the reactor to be complete in all respects. We are going to talk about Bharat small modular reactor. Now you see these small modular reactors, the term itself is quite in fashion these days. What is the technical criteria to call a small modular reactor as small? The technical criteria says that if any modular reactor's capacity of power generation is up to 300 megawatt electric. So that is the technical criteria to label it as small modular reactor. But India's Bharat small modular reactors will have a capacity initially of 200 megawatt electric. So what are the advantages? Number one, since India is a populous country, so we don't want any nuclear incident or accident to have an effect on large population surrounding it. Okay, so that is why they can be constructed in lesser area, having an impact on lesser population. Second, since heavy modular reactors, the heavy up to 1000 2000 megawatt electric capacity, they are very costly to construct and they are very time taking also. This is the second advantage, cost effectiveness. Okay, So we can have multiple small modular reactors rather than having the big gigantic nuclear reactors. Third, we can export it to the neighboring countries, India's neighboring countries, after mastering and demonstrating this technology as we are doing right now. Now, the science aspect of it, what do we mean by pressurized heavy water? So pressurized heavy water means deuterium oxide, D2O. Deuterium oxide is used as the heavy water. What does it help in? Heavy water, it acts as a coolant. It is kept under pressure, allowing it to be heated to higher temperatures without boiling. So when we add deuterium oxide to water, it allows the water to boil at heavy temperature without actually boiling. Another aspect that we need to understand is why they are labeled as pressurized heavy water reactors. Since they use water at a high pressure to start the nuclear reaction, they are labeled as pressurized heavy water reactors, and they use unenriched uranium as their fuel. Unlike the light water reactors they use low enriched uranium, LEW. Okay, now here pressurized heavy water reactors, the Bharat small modular reactors are based on this pressurized heavy water reactor technology. This greatly enhances the neutron economy, as I said. Okay, it yields better electricity generation. So this is the advantage of using pressurized heavy water reactor technology. Slightly enriched uranium is used, you can say. Okay, unlike the light water reactors. So this is the advantage. This is the reason that we are using Bharat small modular reactors. Under this, we are using pressurized heavy water reactor technology. Light water reactor, pressurized heavy water reactor, these are the two things. Now, prototype fast breeder reactor, this is being implemented by Bharatiya Nabhikiya Vidyut Nigam Limited, Bhavini, which is a wholly owned enterprise of Government of India under Department of Atomic Energy. So you should also know the name of this the public sector undertaking which is implementing this. Okay, now there are around 18 pressurized heavy water reactors in India and 4 light water reactors. So we predominantly rely on pressurized heavy water reactors, unlike, contrary to the light water reactors. Now, coming forth, what are the other applications? These will be used by energy intensive industries for captive power. What do we mean by captive power? If there is a cement plant or aluminium and steel plant, for example, they need dedicated supply of electricity. They can't rely on the general grid or power plant, because power plants might not give the 24/7 supply of electricity. So that is why now pressurized heavy water reactors, these Bharat small modular reactors, will be allowed to be constructed by private industries, and whatever electricity they would be able to generate, it will be dedicated to first cater to the need of the cement plant or aluminium or steel plant, as the case may be. Then the surplus energy could be fed into India's energy exchange portals. Second, they can be set up by repurposing decommissioned thermal power plants. As we are moving towards clean energy, so decommissioning of thermal plants, the aged thermal plants, is also going on parallelly. Third, they can provide electricity in remote areas also by locating the nuclear reactor nearby. The major advantage is that when the Kudankulam nuclear power reactor was being constructed, there were a lot of protests by the indigenous people, by the localites. So those kind of protests may not be there, because these are small reactors, may not be having their impact in case of a nuclear accident beyond 100 to 150 kilometers. Whereas the 1000 megawatt heavy, very large nuclear reactors have their impact spanning across the district or the state altogether. So that is why. Now, moving further, safety features based on the globally proven pressurized water reactor technology, our reactors are designed in such a manner that they are going to be foolproof. So these are the advantages, that we would be able to export them to smaller countries. This is the practice question. Moving further, center asks Gujarat court to serve US summons on Adani. So it seems like government is itself not delivering the summons, because ये गुस्ताखी हमसे ना होगी. इसलिए that is why the law ministry is being roped in, that law ministry will send the summons to the Gujarat local court, sessions court, and that session court will deliver the summons to Adani. Now, on a serious note, what crime has he committed? So in US, bribery etc. is strictly prohibited. Okay, they are, even though they have unethical side of theirs also, their own unethical ways of working, but the corruption as we see it in India, bribing the government authorities, crony capitalism, that is not observed quite commonly in the US. Thanks to their strict laws and Securities Exchange Commission of the US, it cannot afford to be run like SEBI. Okay, what it does is it protects the interest of the investors. So the investors of the US, they have invested heavily in the Adani group of companies, Adani Energy specifically. Now Adani Energy has been found to have bribed Indian authorities, Indian government, to get concessional, to get higher price for the green energy generated through the windmills, through the solar panels, solar power plants set up by the Adani group. Since the shareholders of US are invested in the Adani group of companies, the Security Exchange Commission has started the proceedings against the Adani group, especially the Gautam Adani and his relative, another Adani, that why they bribed the government, Indian government officials, to secure their commitment to purchase energy at above market rates. So they bribed the government. It has been found by Securities Exchange Commission. In the preliminary investigation, proofs have already been found, but we are not aware of it in India. Even if we are aware, we can't do anything in India because he is so close to the power circles. So there they are going to sue him to the court. Already a case is going on in the New York against him as to why did he waste the investors' money, the company's money in which the US investors are invested for bribing of the government officials. Even though he bribed the government officials for getting the higher price for the electricity generated through Azure Power or Adani Green. But this is not acceptable. Okay, way back in 1990s, there had occurred a case in which Xerox company, you know Xerox, we say that we are going to get the papers Xeroxed, but the term has derived, this phrase has derived its terminology from the Xerox, the name of the company. Xerox, when it had come to India, they had mentioned in their balance sheet, in their profit and loss account, that to gain entry into the Indian market, they had to bribe Indian officials. Now, when Xerox reported this back in the US, they were levied with a penalty of $300 million way back in 1990s. Okay, why did they waste or siphon off investors' money in bribing the officials in India? Probably at that time they were not aware that this is how jugaad happens in India. But now the Adani thing, this Nadani is not acceptable in the US market. You can have Madhabi Butch continue in the office because it suits you, but it is not the Indian market, it is not the Indian way of working in the United States of America. Now, quickly taking you through the Russia Ukraine dispute, Russia has presented a set of demands based upon which it will negotiate with the US insofar as signing a ceasefire, signing a peace deal with Ukraine is concerned. What are these demands? These are the old demands that Russia has been reiterating even before the start of Ukraine. Number one, no NATO membership for Kyiv. Ukraine should not be admitted as a member in NATO because Russia cannot tolerate any of its neighboring countries to join NATO, a Western alliance against the erstwhile USSR. The roots are in the USSR, the Cold War era. Now, an agreement not to deploy foreign troops in Ukraine. International recognition of President Vladimir Putin's claim that Crimea and 4 provinces now belong to Russia. So 20% of area of Ukraine that is now in possession of this Russia will remain with Russia only. So these are the demands that are kept as the precondition for Russia, for Vladimir Putin to join the settlement table, to join the ceasefire table. Now address the root causes of the war. Russia says that there is no point in applying the betadine or any kind of balm on the wounds. Address the root causes so that this war should not recur. What is it asking for? It is asking that NATO should not try to fleece or should not try to lure the countries in the neighboring of Russia to join NATO, because this might be a deterrent, this might be a security threat to the Russia in the long run, in the coming times as well. So that is why NATO's eastward expansion is what Russia has always objected to. Even though the two countries had recently joined NATO, what are the names of those two countries? Please answer in the comment section. Now, US President Donald Trump is even though awaiting a word from Putin on whether he will agree to a 30-day truce the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has proposed. These are the old demands by Russia. Experts say that Russian demands are likely not only intended to shape an eventual agreement with Ukraine, but also to be the basis of future accords with the Western supporters. Russia does not just want the momentary peace, Russia wants the eternal peace on the basis of the condition that NATO will not try to expand eastward towards the neighboring countries of Russia, which is the root cause of this war and the future wars, which might become the root cause. Now, coming to the other aspect, France, Germany, Italy, and UK, without money, they are backing the Arab plan. This is funny though. Now they are saying that Egyptian proposal, which envisages spending around $53 billion by creation of an administrative committee of independent professional Palestinian technocrats who will be entrusted with the governance of Gaza after the end of war in Gaza between Israel and Palestine. Now, here they are saying that Gaza would be gotten rid of Hamas. Is it possible that Hamas, okay, Hamas, you jao, you go because you are no longer needed? Hamas is backed by Iran. Okay, so these proposals seem to be like in the air. And second question is money. Where will billions of dollars come from? On the other hand, Donald Trump has proposed constructing or converting the Gaza Strip into the Middle East Riviera. Riviera is the riverfront which is used for tourism, etc. So Donald Trump is also in the wanderlust, you can say. He says that Gaza Strip would be gotten rid of Hamas, and when it will be handed over to Israel, and the population of the Gaza Strip will be deported to Egypt or Jordan, and then Gaza Strip would be converted into a tourist spot which will be equivalent to Middle East Riviera. Riviera is a location in Italy and other coastal countries where tourists they come and they enjoy, they have their sunbath, etc. So these are rosy dreams of Donald Trump. This was all in today's news analysis. It was a pleasure teaching you. See you again tomorrow. There might not be the official copy of the Hindu, but still we'll be doing the news analysis. Thank you guys. Have a good time. Enjoy this festival of Holi safely, and make sure that you add more colors to your preparation. Study polity in a balanced manner, like you use pink color, P for polity, P for pink, geography, G for geography, G for green. Likewise, E for environment, E for ecology, you have to memorize. There is no color with the alphabet E. That is why take care of environment, preserve water, conserve water, don't waste it. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a great time.